Hello. Hi. I'm Anita Brown.
And I'm Jill Johns.
This is the Pause Button 2.0 podcast.
Upgrade your self-care.
That's right.
Good. Warmer now.
All right, we're outside again.
We are.
We're in the sun.
Hello, beautiful.
It was a little chilly.
Little orb.
A little chilly before.
It was. It is relative. So
the sun feels really good.
it does feel so much better.
Uh-huh.
I really enjoy it.
We might be a little squinty or shadowy, but that's
don't care.
Yeah, that's how
We
things
don't
are.
care about any of it.
No.
Because we don't care.
That's just how things are.
It is. We're real. We're real women on a real couch, on a real backyard, having real conversations.
In the real country with real country sounds.
Real, like chickens, guns.
That weird bluebird flying over, whatever that is.
And the turtles.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And the Bumpus's dogs.
Uh-huh. They've been quiet today. Anyway.
So episode 7 was really a meandering conversation that we didn't plan at all.
Mm-mm.
But what I really want to talk about is the mind your own business, or it's none of your business. In our manifesto, we have that as part of our manifesto, that other people's emotions or reactions to us are none of our business.
Mm-hmm. And you don't like that.
No, so I don't like it. The wording on it really like rubs me the wrong way. And I think it's like when people say it's none of your business, like it's
snotty.
I'm like, well, fuck you. It is. I want to make it my business.
I'm
or like,
in it.
I'll decide what's my business.
Yeah, you can't tell me.
So it sounds really off-putting to me, but I didn't want to change it. Because to me, it also is it's a powerful thing to say it's none of your business. Because the thing is, like, it's really true, I think.
Yes.
And so I wanted to talk about why that's true, how it's true, and why we're not going to change that. Why I'm not going to encourage us to change it to something like...
Because you texted me and I'd have been like, okay, sure, I'll change the manifesto.
I know you would have. So I was like, I want you to know that, like, I don't like this wording. I have this adverse reaction to it. And yet I don't want to change it. My part of me would want to say, like, let's change it to other people can have a reaction to your whatever what's our manifesto say? I don't even know what it is.
Yeah, your emotions and feelings.
Right. If they can have their reaction, and I would want to say, and that's okay. Right. It's like some sort of soft whatever. But to say that it's none of your business
actually means turn away from it.
Yeah. It does. So let's talk about that. Here's why that particular, like this, having none of your business attached to that sentence rubs me the wrong way, or whatever it does. It's because this. Let's say I say no to somebody. Let's just pretend it's Scott, because I have to live with him, right? He's my daily partner. He's the person I have to make a life with. And I have something going on with me that I'm owning. It's my self-care. It's my saying no, or it's my boundary or whatever. And he has an emotional response to this, right?
And I'm assuming it's more when he has a negative emotion. Because if he's like, that's great,
I'm like,
you're going to be like,
it's my business.
But when he's like, that sucks.
Yeah, it's like, that sucks.
Wrong.
I don't want to agree with what you're doing, or blah, blah, blah. Then that doesn't feel like that's none of my business. That feels like it is my business, because we have to create a life together. And so, so I want to just really pick that out, because it's really easy to say it's none of my business when it's like a coworker.
Yes.
It's like, well, I'm doing this and that person's having an issue with it. Instead of my business, I'm just going to let them have their thing. But when it's my husband, or somebody I want to have like a daily interaction with, and they're having this, they need space to have their emotions about something I've said or done. That feels like a bigger deal than easily saying, well, that's none of my business. I'll just let them have their attitude.
So how do you kind of lean into that? How do you manage that now that it's kind of more aware for you?
Well, I have to, I don't tell myself it's none of my business, but I do tell myself that I need to give that person space. I need to give Scott space to have his emotions for a while.
Okay. What does that look like? What is giving space to somebody that lives in your home?
It means, like, if I know that he's got something on his mind, or he's pissed or whatever, instead of like trying to make him talk to me about it until we're happy with each other, It means like just letting him be upset for a while. And when he's ready to not be upset anymore, we can talk more about it.
And I even want to know, like, how do you know he's upset? Or how do you, like, is he expressing to you, I'm feeling angry or rage or whatever? Or are you just observing his reaction?
Yeah, he has like certain posturing or certain facial expressions, or his tone of voice might indicate that he's upset.
Okay.
Sometimes I know it's about me because, I'll ask. The other day we had a thing, and I could tell immediately that his tone of voice was, our Bumpus' dogs.
Welcome, dogs.
The Bumpuses. I could tell immediately that he was annoyed with me. And so I said, oh, you're annoyed with me. Yeah, you want to talk about it? Like, what's going on that you're annoyed with me right now? And I could tell that he was trying to talk about it with me, but I could tell, like, from the way he was talking, his tone of voice, the sarcasm or something that he was having, or the word choices that he had were that he wasn't really wanting to talk about it with me. He was just wanting to continue to have his thoughts.
Sure.
And so I was like, probably this isn't the right time for us to be talking about this, and I have to go anyway. Right. So, let's just not talk about this right now. So, I mean, it's hard for me. It's hard for me to, and I don't do it good really all the time at all, to like let him just like have his space.
How does it normally show up for you? Like poking a little?
So it's not like I want to poke. It's not like I want to be like, no, what's going on? Why don't you talk to me? What's going on? It's more like I want to be like, what are you thinking? Like, what's going on? And he might
flip into like the therapist mode, and you want him to like analyze and process his thoughts.
Right, yeah, and I'll help him analyze and process it as long as it ends up being where he's not mad at me anymore.
Yeah, right. Let me help you through this.
Yeah, let me help you not be mad at me anymore. That's just basically where I want to get to.
Right.
So that's what I do.
Okay.
That's the role that I take when I see that that's when I take it on as my business. Mm-hmm. I want him to get to a point where he's not upset with me anymore.
Like to hurry him up through whatever process he needs to go through.
Yeah. So I'm not.
How does that
really
work? Like, does it work well?
I guess it depends on what he's upset about. That particular thing that just happened recently, I mean, I had to leave, so we didn't talk to each other until the evening when I came back. And then when I approached it again, like, neither of us likes to, he and I don't like to like just go on living as normal, like our thing. Like, we have a big chip on our shoulder, but we're going to pretend like we don't. Okay. Like, we don't like to do that. Mm-hmm. And so I said like, so from earlier today, like, where are we at with this right now? And it sounded like we were at a better place to talk about it.
Okay.
And we persistently talked about it in the new way that we communicate. So the old way of communicating would be he might be sarcastic and condescending, and then I would shut down and basically just be quiet for the rest of the night and kind of hate him for a while, like a couple of days until he decided to say sorry or something, right? That was our old way. And our new way is that he monitors his tone of voice, and then I don't stop talking. Like, I will continue to like just stay engaged and keep talking. And so we did that, and it probably took a couple of hours until we kind of got to a place of seeing the other point of view, and not really conceding on either side, but getting to the place of respecting each other about that thing again. Mm-hmm. So it ended really well to me.
Good.
But I guess in a way I still kind of like, I didn't make it none of my business. Like, that still was my business. Like, if he's going to be mad, and that's not okay. What
would and this is like up for exploration and discussion, right? I don't think there's an actual answer, but what is his emotion and feelings toward you being none of your business? What does that look like? And if you were to take that scenario and lay on top of it that it's none of your business, what would that look like for next time?
If I made that true for myself, I would having it be none of my business, his reactions, I think that it would feel to me like it's okay for him to be upset with me about that thing.
And we don't have to process it or talk it through or analyze it or whatever. It just is.
Yeah, that seems so foreign to me. Like, I just don't. That just seems really foreign to me. Like, how does it work? How does that work in your life?
In my life? Oh no, this episode's about you.
I don't know how to make that work.
Huh.
I guess here's the thing: is like it's not okay with me, or it's none of my business. If he's going to be upset with me about something, I guess it's not okay for him to be upset with me about something because he's going to make it known that he's upset about it. So I can't keep living or being in a relationship where somebody's going to continue to like talk to me like they're upset with me. It can be okay to get to that place where he doesn't agree with me, but still respects who I am and interacts with me in a respectful manner. So I guess when it is I'm making it my business is when it's at that point where he is not, he's not at that respecting me place.
Right. That sounds like an infringement of your boundary. Like a boundary is like, we can not agree on things, but we'll still be respectful towards one another about it.
Yeah. So, okay, so let's say it played out like this. He comes home for lunch, and I'm like, hey, blah, blah, blah. And then he says whatever in his tone of voice. I'm like, oh, okay, he's irritated with me about something. Surprise, I didn't know that. I could
say, okay, bye, honey. I have to go back to work and walk out.
See ya. And then wait.
You really could.
I could.
And then it'd be done.
And then wait for him to come to me of like, hey, I want to let you know I'm upset with you about whatever.
Or he could maybe never.
Or never. But he has to get to a point. He would have to get to a point of processing it within himself and getting to that point of being respectful again.
I'm thinking about this. So the energetic, like the emotional guidance scale, right, is basically where this is coming from, is saying that you can walk into a situation and lob out whatever it is that you had to say. And you at that moment were feeling whatever emotion, like excitement or happiness or optimism or whatever. And then he walks into the room and brings the energetic chart with him as well, and his feeling and your feeling aren't in alignment. They don't match. And so I think when the match happens and we're both excited or we're both aligned or kind of within the same chunk, there's no need for like some of this additional exploration. But when one is here and one is here and it feels off, then that's when it becomes this like tug of war of like, you need to come up here or I need to go down there. And then I think the none of your business piece for me is saying just because you're in a shitty mood or just because you're sarcastic or whatever does not mean that I have to alter I can stay in my bliss bubble or I can stay in this energetic bubble that I'm in, regardless of how snarky or condescending or sarcastic or whatever you're being. And that is none of my business. And you can't make me feel the way that you're feeling. I'm going to stay in my bliss bubble.
Wow. Yeah. Does that happen in your life? Are you at that place in your life? Oh my God, you are bow at the feet of you being able to do that.
That's the journey piece. Like if I were to say I do that every single time, that would be a crock of shit, right? But to be able to say like that language and that type of thing is so like asking me for my definition of what that is. That's what that is. It's like I can come home from a great day at work and Ken can come home and not be in a great day, and I don't have to get him to hurry up and match me energetically, and I don't have to dip down to meet him, and I don't even have to alter my emotional state of being on whatever the subject or whatever the topic is. And so what I need to do for self-care then is remove myself from the situation, go do some of the stuff that feels better for me, go lock myself in the bathroom, go put on my earbuds and listen to Abe or go for a drive or whatever. And then I can like poke back in and be like, oh, are you still an ogre? Oh yeah, you are. Okay, back into my bliss bubble.
But
and then eventually,
okay, but in that situation, it's so you're not in that situation, you're still not necessarily like being in the same space with your energy level and then whatever his energy level is. You're not sharing space. You're still having to separate yourself to protect your energy level.
I find that when I do, like, there are times where, like, if I'm in the car with my kids and one of them is being a total asshole, right? Yeah. Like, I can't remove myself from the situation. So I have to like I envision it like an energy shield and field, right? That I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. I have to like
visualize sound effects.
Like, I have to like push out from the core of who I am to like thicken up the wall of my bliss bubble because I can't physically leave the space. And so in order to keep his energy from infringing on my normally like thin wall of my bliss bubble, like I have to like supercharge it and so when I do that, it takes my battery level and just like sucks me dry, right? Mm-hmm. So like I can only do that for so long, and then I do have to go do something to replenish my battery, so if I have opportunities to distance myself from people, I will like always take them because and it's just from like learning how to have like nothing has ever happened in any of my relationships with anyone, like spouse, ex-spouse's wife, like children, parents, strangers, when we are not an energetic match. And when someone's in more of the like catabolic destructive energy and I'm not there with them, like that conversation just won't be productive for me. And so I just want to wait, like, okay, wait until we match and then we can have like a real constructive conversation at that point. Up until that point, it's just like energy vampiring.
I think that it definitely is a journey. This whole, that part of the manifesto is definitely a journey. I can see where an even better answer would be to let, like, there's a difference between Scott's had a bad day and I haven't, and we're sharing space. I'm better at that, being like, wow, that really sucks. That's for him. I know that he doesn't want me to be as pissed as he is. And I don't need him to be as excited as I am about life at that moment. And I can still do my thing while he's doing his thing. But whatever he's pissed at isn't me. So when he's actually kind of pissed at me, and I kind of feel like that is my business. I'd like that's my initial thought is that's my business. However, I can see where a better self-care answer for me would be like, it is my business because we're in a relationship, but when he's ready to talk about it with me, I'll be available. When he's ready to talk about it with me in a respectful way, I'll be available. And until then, it's none of my business to help him get to that point.
Right.
I can see that.
And I even think about like when people are expressing anger, frustration, or sarcasm or whatever, like to me, it typically means that it's poking at something inside of them, like some fear or insecurity. And so I don't know the situation, but like, whatever you said or did created like, he might have stepped into the scenario already energetically somewhere. And then whatever you said or did or is working on, like, poked at one of his buttons that you may or may not even know is in there. And then now he's having this reaction that's like even maybe more vile or vulgar or whatever. And that's kind of, for me, again, back to the whole, it's none of your business. It's like, you don't necessarily know what all those pre-programmed buttons are that are going on inside of him. And so you obviously just poked something, but that's not on you at all.
Right.
Like, it's on him and whatever is in there and available to be poked, And so he's really got to do the work, right? To figure out like, wow, like, why does that project of Anita's piss me off so much? Or why do I feel like when she brings these great things to me, I need to respond with sarcasm? Like, what's going on inside of me? And I feel like again, that's part of the like none of your business thing. It's like you've got to deal with your own shit and whatever pokes and prods at you. And it's really on him and his journey to figure out. And he may or may not ever do that, but that's none of your business.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that's the none of your business part.
What time are we at? We have more time.
Good.
Because I want to bring this up and I actually want to put it on me. Like when I was in therapy, some really good stuff came out as far as me understanding that when I had an overly emotional response to somebody else's decision or whatever, it was just basically what you're saying. It is something in me, like something's being triggered in me, that something that's unresolved or something that I don't like about myself. And so I'll give an example.
Okay.
So one of my friends was came into some money, and they were traveling a lot, and over the summer, and I got kind of pissed. Like I just noticed myself getting pissed at this person for like blowing all their money on all this traveling. Like it's going to be gone, and they're not saving it or whatever. I like was having an actual, like, I was pissed at this person about the decisions that they were making.
Like not happy, like, yay, go travel.
Yeah. Right. I mean, I was just like, they're going where again?
Like,
really?
Didn't they just go somewhere?
Yes, exactly. Like they just went somewhere for like 2 weeks now.
Don't they realize that there's going to be bills coming up that they're really going to wish they'd saved
that money's going to be gone, and they're going to be pissed. And then what? They're going to be upset about that.
And then the scarcity mindset will really sink in.
So I was noticing, but this is like after my therapy had ended everything. So I was noticing like, oh, this is a nice time for me to reflect on why am I so pissed about this person's decisions? It has nothing to do with me. What the fuck? So I realized I just sat with it, and sometimes I have to just get really quiet. Like I have to just be like, oh, and ask myself a question. Hey, what's going on? And then just get quiet and then just wait for the feeling or the whatever to kind of bubble to the surface. And what came up for me when I asked myself and got quiet was that I had come into a little bit of, not a ton, not as much as they did, but I had come into a sum of money. Okay. And I had plans for this money, plans of like, I'm going to save it. And I didn't. I like totally, it was gone within a month. It was like gone. Okay. And that, I realized that I was pissed at myself for not doing the money like I wanted to, and also a little jealous of the, like I didn't travel with the money. Yeah, fuck, that would be nice. Go somewhere. Right. So I did. So what you're saying is true. Having an overly emotional response to somebody else, and if somebody else is having an overly emotional response to something you
just said or done, or whatever,
it really is not probably about you. It's about what's inside that person. So it was time and again, like in me, I notice when I have, and I notice it now, when I have an overly emotional response to somebody, it's really like, okay, something's in me.
Well, and so I think it brings up a good point about like, so you've been on this journey, you've been going to therapy, you're dealing with your shit, like you have tools and techniques and a support system and whatever, and you might be married to somebody who's not. Right. Or at a different phase of that journey. And so maybe Scott hasn't done the work, or maybe he hasn't been to therapy, doesn't have the support network, doesn't have the group. And so I think that's the bigger question in all of this, is that when you're navigating through life with your spouse or your parents or your colleagues or whoever, and you've got this awareness and this skill set, but the people around you don't, how do you not shame them for not having the skill sets? And like, remember, like I always try to remember myself, like, oh yeah, like 5 years ago, Jill, like you didn't know how to do the judge your neighbor worksheet. So you would totally be flying off the handle too right now. Or like, whatever my tools are that I've used in my toolbox to help me navigate through life. And instead of like, I'm learning more and more that instead of like engaging with them as having that compassionate piece for the people too, like, gosh, I'm really fortunate in my life that I was exposed to some of these thought leaders and these people, and that I, had coaching and therapy and this and that have helped me really like not fly off the handle like I used to, or not be snarky and condescending like I used to. So when I'm interfacing with other people and when it's none of my business, it's usually because like they're not there on their journey.
Mm-hmm.
And so there is a space of compassion, like, wow, like a man who's being snarky and sarcastic to his wife, like that's not like stellar, right? And so a little bit of like, I wonder why he thinks right now that that's the right way to be responding to me in this scenario, you know, like just trying to, and like, if we were to plot it and say, how many times am I capable of having that, you know, empathic type view of my relationships versus not, it's like, I'm doing that more and more, but I still have the other ones where I'm like, fuck you, bring it on. Like,
yeah,
I'll throw down right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that prodding of, if you say something and somebody gets pissed or angry or jealous or snarky or enraged or whatever, the it's none of your business part is, don't stop being you. Don't stop telling people those things out of fear of their reaction and their response, but more like, I'm going to put this out here and I'm safe and comfortable putting that out there. And then how you respond to what I'm putting out there doesn't have anything to do with me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. It's a journey of that, you know, letting go of caring about what people are thinking about you, and I think really the hardest part is like when it's very close people, like your family, your spouse, your kids or whatever, like
your boss, your
it's
colleagues.
Those people that we really have to do that work with.
And I think that phrase is in there to create relief for our listeners. Like, it's not your responsibility. Like, take that backpack. Like, have you seen those images where it's like a backpack and like everybody else's problems are these like big boulders that are in your backpack? It's like, take that backpack off and put it down and just like worry about the boulders that you're carrying of your own journey. Like, that stuff in the backpack you can just put down.
It's so easy to say that. I mean, do you remember like how, I mean, even still, it's like, it's hard to just let that go. Like, what are people going to think? What are people going to think if we're cursing like sailors on this podcast? What are people going to think if I'm telling people about, you know, how I sucked at being a massage therapist and having good boundaries with my clients or, you know, all that stuff. It's
yeah, but for every one of the people, and this is what we've gotten from feedback, is that, and we don't know necessarily how many people we're turning off versus how many people we're turning on, but we're hearing more and more and more from people that are appreciative of us having these kind of conversations and this vulnerability than we are of people that are saying, you know what, Jill, Anita, like, I don't want to be near them at all anymore.
The thing is, like, I really do have to remind myself, like, right before I send out a very vulnerable thing, I have to remind myself that the people that are going to think something negative about me are the people who need this work.
Yeah.
Because I've had to learn to give myself a lot of compassion and to give other people. I was not a compassionate person to people. I would totally fucking judge people.
Right.
Like, oh, they're doing this now? Good luck. You know, that'll be done in like 6 months or whatever. I've had to extend that compassion to myself first. And I think that the people who are kind of judgy or have emotional reactions to people are not compassionate with themselves.
I would agree. I think it's, but it's not our battle. Yeah, I heard along the way sometime of like, if you can take the person that you're interfacing with and reduce them down to their 5-year-old self and just observe their reaction to whatever is going on as if they're just a small child, and not this grown-up 50-year-old person standing in front of you or whatever, and you realize that their behavior is basically synonymous with a temper tantrum that a little kid would be throwing, and how like illogical and irrational it is. It's like, there's no point in kind of
engaging. No, there's not. But I mean, people that are reacting that way are really reacting that way as a form of protection, I guess, like for their own self. They're protecting something within themselves, and
we don't know what that is.
No, we don't know.
That's the whole point. Like, we have no fucking clue of what's going on in anybody else's mind and heart, and we have no idea what all of those things have been that have led up to that point. And it's like, I'm just finally getting to the point where I'm starting to tell people about some of the things that have been in my past that have created this person that I am today and the decisions that I made. And I'm not like, every minute of my life isn't like the stellar moment to like put on a plaque and display to people. And so it's like, I kind of don't want to hold on for other people that every time they interface with me, they have to be plaque worthy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, okay. Like right now you feel like being a sarcastic asshole is your best option.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Not mine.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I do know that you know, this conversation is about it being a journey, and I know that like we're down the path of that journey, and that feels good. It's like, it's calling my name. It's like, come do it more, Jill, because it's like, feels more peaceful in my soul.
Mm-hmm.
I want more of those moments for myself. Like I don't mind the moments of like somebody freaking out in my presence. Like I don't have to join you.
I'm getting better at it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. But it definitely is a practice.
It is.
Yeah.
All right. So today we talked about when emotions and feelings of the other person are none of your business.
Yeah. And it was a good talk.
It was a good talk. Yeah, it's always a good talk. We're in the sun.
And it feels good. No, that was good to get off that. It was really good to...
You feel better?
No, I do. I feel like I've really analyzed, like, why was that such a big deal? Mm-hmm. Like, and why is... It really is that close relationship, and it is the differentiating between when that person's emotions are about me versus if they're just in a funk, and I can be not in a funk.
Right.
And it's really when I don't want people to feel a certain way about me, so that I feel like I need to make it my business to help them not feel that way about me anymore. And that really is, that particular thing is what my journey into self-care of making it none of my business is about.
Yeah.
So I'll just continue to practice that. I know that I'll have plenty of time because I'm going to be married for, you know, however long
more.
Like
50 years to go.
Right.
So good luck.
So good. All right. It was nice to chat with you about that. I'm glad we did. All right. Bye. Can't see the off button. I can't reach it. Bye.